The Mind Buzz, now partnered with My Grito Industries.
3, 2, 1. Harry Katz from Harry Katz and the Pistachios. How are you, bro?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
How are you, bro? Good. You're good? Okay.
I'm good, yeah.
All right. My tongue slipped on that one. So, first podcast of the week. Thanks for coming out and doing this. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I think this is my first podcast ever.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you're going to have a great experience. I'll tell you that much right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
So, first, I want to get it out of the way. How did you... So, before we get started, Harry Katz is... he's a frontman of Harry Katz and the Pistachios. And fucking amazing sounds, bro. I got to tell you.
Thank you very much. Thank
Awesome music. Where did you get the name? Where did you get the band name from?
So, I'm Harry Katz.
Okay.
So, that's my real name. And the Pistachios, you know, how you come up with fun band names with your friends. And I had a band that was playing with, it was me, a trombone player, and a drummer. And we were hanging out one night. We all started throwing pistachios at each other. We kind of came up with it as a joke. And I was a bass player in punk bands for a long time.
Oh, okay.
And so I was playing in a lot of other people's bands. But whenever I would do my music, it was Harry Katz and the Pistachios. And I decided to just always hold on to that name. So a couple years ago, when I decided to really focus on that here in LA, it was like, let's bring back the tradition of Harry Katz and the Pistachios.
Are you originally from Los Angeles?
I'm from New York originally.
Oh, you're from New York.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you called, you had a New York.
I still have a New York number, yeah.
Okay. When did you come out?
I've been here since March 2012, so 11 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up there?
I grew up in New York, yeah.
What was it like growing up in New York?
New York was cool. I'm from Yonkers, so right outside the city.
Okay.
But I guess it's kind of like an equivalent of like living in the valley where you gotta like take public transportation into the city and go and hang out. But it was cool because we had the city right there, and then we also had all this nature upstate. And so New York was cool. You know, there was all this cool stuff. We saw CBGBs before it became like a poster store, and all this like fun seedy New York stuff from back in the day.
So hold on. It's a poster store now?
Yeah, it's like a condo.
So it's not a venue?
No,
anymore?
it doesn't. It's like you couldn't even necessarily find it anymore.
Amber, can you pull it up? I want to see this thing. Like the Ramones played there, the Sex Pistols played there, like all the greats right back then.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the hub for punk rock and
the very last time we went, George Clinton was there.
What?
Yeah, just hanging out. And it was a cool, really dingy, small New York club. And then, you know, they cleaned up the whole area, and I think it became like the Morrison Hotel or like some thing that sold like rock and roll posters.
Yeah, you see that? Look at right there, the Ramones right in front of the venue.
It was cool. They had like another place next door called the Gallery, and then there was a lounge downstairs. So it was actually like 3 venues.
Whoa!
So it was like it still had like a lot of local shows and stuff back in the day.
So right now, it's like a store and like a museum type of thing. Do you know?
It's not related to CBGBs at all.
Oh, it's not
anymore. Yeah, I think it's just what used to be the space.
Can you look up what CBGB stands for? Do you know what it stands for? I don't even know.
Country Bluegrass Blues. So that's the story. Is the owner wanted to start a bluegrass club in New York, and just these weird art punks started playing shows there, like television started playing there, and Blondie and the Ramones, and he was just like, okay, that's cool. That's interesting. We were just talking about this connection. Like, we have a friend who's a punk, was a punk, and then plays country music. So I guess maybe that's the original connection between country and punk music is CBGB's country bluegrass blues.
Whoa.
Oh, see, it says that's what it is now.
Yeah.
Oh, Von, what is it? John.
Arvatos?
Yeah.
There is like a CBGB's like gift shop somewhere, you know, it's like.
Look at the restroom. The restroom looks cool. I want a restroom like that, Amber.
No.
Let's get started on it. I already got the brick. I got the brick behind me. We could just move the brick to the restroom, and
start tagging it up.
Amber can start tagging all her gang affiliation
Nothing. I'm good.
on it. But have you been there since moving out here in 2012?
Back to New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to visit as much.
Oh, okay.
Twice a year.
All your family's out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time you went?
I was there, I guess, probably a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's been a little while.
Nice. What's the difference? Like, how different is it from LA? In your perspective, from growing up, because I can hear perspectives from LA born people going out visiting New York, but it's kind of different hearing that from somebody else.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's the classic conversation, right? The difference between New York and LA. And New York, I mean, it's definitely like a city you can walk around. It's a little more spontaneous in that way. But people in LA, I find it's like a really collaborative place. And I was always able to find really like well-paid creative work out here. There was just like a little bit more of like an industry of collaboration in LA that I found to do bigger things. New York was a lot of like individual artists. It felt like everyone was kind of in their own bubbles.
Right.
But New York, the benefit is like just being able to like get around really easily. And then I joke, your memories are like coded by seasons. So when you think back of something, you can kind of remember what time of year it was. But I feel like in LA, it's like everything happened kind of like 2 to 5 years ago. You know, it's like it's like you think about it, it was 70 degrees out. Like,
yeah.
But in New York, it was like, okay, it was winter, there was snow, it's like there's a little bit that, and it's hard to know what the difference is between like what it was like being young in a place. If the difference between New York and LA is that I was young in New York and I'm older in LA. So like the way you approach life and what you get from it is very different. So I wonder, if I'm nostalgic about seasons because I had them,
Yeah.
But I think also like New York, the seasons are very like distinctful, right? Like if summer it's pretty hot and then you guys get winter and you guys get snow and things start changing. Where LA, it's like it gets cold, but it doesn't really change as much. So maybe it's just more noticeable too. But
yeah, there's this wonderful moment in New York in the spring where like everyone starts appearing again, and there's like people you haven't seen for months. Just the acquaintances that like sit outside in the bed and they're gone, and then there's like, oh, you're back. You're like, how you been? It's like, oh, it's barely survived. But
it was a hard winter.
Yeah, but there's this awakening that's always like really refreshing.
Yeah, well, in LA and I guess Southern California, it's like hot and sunny, like every day. Hot and sunny, hot and sunny.
When we were in high school, we had a tradition. The first time of the year it would hit 70 degrees. We would drink 40s in a parking lot. But we would have drinking problems if we tried to do that in LA. And it would be like too many,
Oh, celebrating that the sun came out.
Yeah, we were like, all right, that was the tradition.
Yeah.
We would go hang out outside.
That's funny.
Oh, man. Any other like significant parts in New York that you used to hang around?
We used to hang out in Washington Square Park a lot.
Okay.
That was like the first place we used to just wander around. That's an easy place to like play guitar. And there used to be it still goes on actually, this folk show called Roots and Ruckus. And it's in Brooklyn now, but it used to be in the West Village. And it was like really great old folk players and stuff. So we would hang out there. We would hang out in Washington Square Park.
Washington Square Park. Roots and Ruckus?
Yeah, it's at the Jalopy Theater.
Ooh, Jalopy Theater. That sounds fun. Roots and Ruckus.
Yeah, it's amazing that's still going on. It's
that looks cool.
Did I write it wrong?
No, you got it right.
Yeah.
No, that looks correct.
Yeah, just not Fest, just Roots and Ruckus.
I put
Yeah, Farrell Foster. Shout out to Farrell Foster.
Look at that. That looks cool, actually.
Yeah. Jalopy's it's like a music school, and it's a beautiful theater. It was a really nice home that they found there, and they've been there for years.
How like from New York to LA, how much more like musically inclined are each cities, or would you say they're both kind of like in the same realm of it.
Oh, they're very similar, New York and LA, especially when you get out of New York and LA. New York and LA are definitely like big city kind of vibe. You know, it's like when you tour outside, it's like people have this very unpretentious love for music. And I feel like deep in the cities, you know, LA is also big. It gets very suburban. So you have a lot of people who are like, I feel like have that like really unpretentious love for music. Sometimes in the cities, it could be a little stuffy. And New York and LA have that in common.
Right. Yeah.
Like, very cool.
It's like it's the same concept, right? With like artists that are around the LA area go to LA to get their career like started. So they go to LA. Is that the same for New York City?
Oh yeah, 100%. Not only just in New York, but yeah, people from all over the country, right? It's like a big transplant city for artists.
Yeah, I heard Portland's like that too. I don't know. No, I didn't hear that. I made that up right now.
Like, what the heck?
Well, Portland's another cool city. I like Portland. Well, I don't know, in the past 2 years it's cool, but it used to be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people travel there, right? Like at the colleges and all that stuff.
Have you ever been?
I was there once on tour, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was cool. It was like dollar joints. Was really nice.
That was wild, dude.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Oregon, and I went to like the recreational like pot shop, and I was like, whoa, that was like way before.
Because they were like the first ones.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Washington and Oregon are like the first for like everything. Like psilocybin mushrooms, the psychoactive mushrooms out there is like decriminalized. But I feel that California like follows Oregon like in its footstep. It takes them a couple of years, but they reach that.
California's bigger, right? So it takes a little longer to get there, but it definitely follows suit. I mean, right? Psilocybin is decriminalized or medically legal in Oakland.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oakland, San Jose. There's a couple of cities.
San Jose.
Yeah.
Let's go to San Jose.
Let's go.
Fun.
Let's take we're taking the Mind Bus. We're taking this whole interview. We're going to go up there.
On the Mind Bus. The Mind Bus.
Hey, that's cool. Amber, let's get a bus.
Don't make
Don't egg me on. Look at what Harry Katz is doing to me. We're going to have a bus and road trips.
That's how I got to California the first time. I was like, let's get a bus. We couldn't get a bus. So I was like, I guess we'll have to hitchhike.
Did you hitchhike, really?
Yeah, the first time I came to California. Yeah.
How old were you back then?
18.
18?
Yeah.
I can only imagine that. 18 years old.
We hitchhiked part of it. So we got like a couple rides.
But hitchhiking at just in general, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah.
What was that like?
People still pick up people? Because I would see someone hitchhiking and I'd be like, I am not unlocking my doors for anybody.
We were a group. There was like 4 of us, 5 of us at a time. So that's like less threatening. When there was a woman with us, and we had a dog at one point. So we were like a nice bunch of...
at one point?
Yeah. We picked up a dog along the way. So there wasn't a dog in the beginning. But so it was like interesting. But I also think like, you know, a long time ago, if you were like a serial killer, right? Like people like hitchhiked. So you would try to prey on hitchhikers. But like nowadays, those kind of people just go on the internet. They're not like going around picking up hitchhikers. So like the people who pick you up are like just as nervous as you are so it's like very, you know, but we got the big ride we got when there was 5 of us was this guy. He was driving off a couple states, and they didn't have like a mid-sized car for him at this rental place, and they gave him a minivan, and he had never driven a minivan before. And he had this like comically large car, and he was like, what am I going to do with all this space? And there, as he's thinking that, is 5 of us with our thumb out, and he was like, okay. And he gave us a ride, and we like went to south of the border, which is like a tourist spot in South Carolina. We like bought fireworks with him and like hung out. And then he dropped us off, and that was one of the first of many rides.
That's fucking wild, dude.
That's cool.
Yeah. Imagine that. Amber, would you ever hitchhike?
No.
No?
No.
One time. Just do it once.
I always want to hitchhike. So I started hitchhiking just around my suburban town. Like I would be walking from school to the mall up a big hill, So I stick my thumb out, and like I was in high school, and like
He was practicing for this.
yeah, it was
Okay.
like middle schoolers and their parents. They'd be like, "I know that kid," and they'd like give me a ride, or like teachers. So whenever I'm in LA, if I was walking somewhere and you're at a red light, I kind of just want to be like, "Hey, where you going? How far down Hollywood are you going? Can I just get a ride 3 blocks?" Like, but you know, we don't do that. But it feels like LA would be a great place to hitchhike.
Yeah, that's the trick, dude. Yeah. Well, that was the answer to that was the answer for Lyft and Uber and all that before that, right?
That's true. It is a similar experience.
It is.
You're right.
You know, the way that you have conversations with random people and like share that space.
And you don't know them, they don't know you, and they can still turn around and kill you if they want to.
Yeah. I mean, there's no difference. The only difference is
You're paying them.
you're paying them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, obviously they see like a picture like before they pick you up, but I mean,
Yeah, but
I can change. I change that all the time. Remember, Amber used to put a picture of like
Both of us?
both of us, so that like she would get me rides, and she'd put a picture of both of us, so that way it didn't look like kind of suspicious.
right,
He's like,
I don't think
Amber?
I'm here for you.
Right. I could be an Amber. That was a thing.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah. But damn, dude, that's cool. That's a pretty good. That's a good story.
So
Yeah.
what was so you came the first time to California. What was your objective to
Well, it's just
coming?
to check it out.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in New York, it's like all this lore about going out west, like all the beatniks hitchhike, you know. So we just wanted to come
Oh, that's cool.
check out California. So we made it and stayed in San Francisco for a little while, and then I went back. And then the second time I got a trip actually out to LA, and that was my first time in LA. And then from LA, we hitchhiked back. And so we hitchhiked like part of the way. And then at some point I got a phone call from a guy I used to be in a band with. And he was traveling, and the people in his band were like taking a lot of acid and wanted to quit. And he was like, "My band's going to leave me. Can you meet me in Lawrence, Kansas in like 6 days for a show?"
Whoa.
And I was like, "Okay." So we like went and like started going around, and like we got a ride. There's these things called the Rainbow Gatherings. I think they still happen. The Rainbow Gathering of Living Light. They're these like hippie festivals.
Can you look that up? Rainbow Gathering?
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'm intrigued now.
They're hippie festivals, free hippie festivals in national parks. Actually, around July 4th. We got to see where the gathering is. We can go this year.
It's Rainbow Gathering
Yeah, you could just look up Rainbow Gathering 2023.
2023.
But instead of bands, they have kitchens. So they have all these kitchens, and you just like bring your own bowl, and then you can like eat for free. And then they do these it's drum circles and stuff. It's drum circles, and they call your bowl Bliss. It's like all this really silly stuff. They're always like, "Welcome home." It's like really fun, but they're free. They're these weird things. So we ended up at one of these, and we caught a ride on like a big hippie bus out of there.
And how long ago was this?
This was, I think, 2008.
Okay. So they're obviously, look at that. 2022, they're still happening now.
2023.
Yeah. Wow, the
And
picture that you had on.
They do like regional ones and national ones. So it's like some people just travel from them to them. And there's these different campsites they would do really interesting. They would build, there was this pizza place that would go and build like out of mud, these mud ovens.
What?
And then they would make this great pizza, and you'd just be like in the woods. There'd be like a guy with a horse, a guy with an upright bass,
guy with
they're
a
playing
horse?
music, and then they would give you like the best pizza you ever had. It was like, it was so weird.
That sounds like a really good time, though. That's like
Yeah.
camping, dude. That's
Yeah.
like camping with a whole bunch of people that you don't know. So there's just like different campsite.
Yeah, different
In there?
campsites. Yeah, the Lovin' Ovens. That was the name of the
Lovin' Ovens.
the pizza campsite.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like Burning Man, right? The same. Is it the
Yeah.
same concept except you don't pay like $250,000 for
Yeah, it's
for
the
entrance.
working class Burning Man.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's funny.
Which is in the next couple of months, right? Isn't it like August?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to Burning Man?
I've never.
Me neither.
No, I've
I
heard
did
stories.
all these other festivals. So I was like, I don't know about the price tag. I was like,
I want to see how much Burning Man is right now.
How
Can you
much is
pull that
Burning
up?
Man?
Because that's just
but it's not just the ticket cost, right? It's like you have to take everything out. So you have to, whatever you bring in, and then it's like all the shipping costs to get stuff out.
Is it?
Yeah, because you have to take all of your stuff, and people rent like mobile homes and do all these things. Right here, like ticketing.
Black Rock City. FOMO sales. Okay.
Kid ticket?
Oh yeah, you can take your children there.
No thanks.
Delivery fees. Oh.
Dang. I was like $25, but that's only to deliver the
Deliver
tickets to
whatever
you.
you got, right? Wait, deliver the tickets?
I think that's what it said. No? Delivery fees and taxes, yeah.
Crazy.
FOMO.
I don't know. I don't see anything.
That's how you know it's expensive. You don't put it on the website.
Yeah, if there's a
They're
website
like,
for it.
inquire.
Yeah, exactly. Inquire.
Is it that one?
There
Oh,
you go. He
shit.
knows.
There we go.
Approximately 4,000 tickets available, 1,000 at $2,750 each, and 3,000 at $1,500.
How many pieces of sand
Whoa.
does that come with? Probably a lot, actually.
Why would you pay that much to be dehydrated and dirty?
That is why. That's a lot of money just for that. Just to say that you've been to Burning Man.
I'm sure it was cool a long time ago. I have a cool, weird Burning Man story. So the apartment that I live in right now in Hollywood, I'm in like Hollywood proper, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt had an older brother named Dan that went by Burning Dan. He was one of the old school Burning Man guys. He lived in this apartment like 10, 12 years ago, and he OD'd in that apartment and died.
Oh, shoot.
But they had like a production company together, and they used to meet in that apartment, but my neighbor lived there at the time.
Jesus.
But
Whoa.
yeah,
I didn't even know he had a brother.
I know, isn't that crazy? I didn't know either. I found out that he passed away in the apartment, but I don't think that he's haunting the apartment.
I
Your
was going to
current,
say, does he haunt
your
it?
current
My
apartment.
current apartment.
Oh my god.
I don't think he haunts it because he's a Burning Man guy. So I think spiritually he was able to transcend. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was.
He's out
I
in
mean
the
that in all
desert
due
somewhere.
respect.
No,
you know?
yeah.
I don't want him to start haunting me now.
Now he's gonna start
He's like,
hunting.
huh? You want me to hunt you? That's so funny. So tell us a little how you got your music going. Like when did you first realize I love music? I know how to play music. I can sing.
I mean, I was always a part of a music community. I was always kind of like a backup guy for people. And then when I started doing my own thing, when I moved to LA, I took a small break. And I had been here for a few years, and I was not doing music in a serious way, but I was still recording every day at home, and I was still thinking about it. I was like, what am I doing not focusing on this? And about a few years ago, I decided that I was going to just go all in. And from there, I've always done smaller versions of it and of having like a big full band. So that's the big thing about Harry Katz and the Pistachios is that we have a horn section and backup singers. At its biggest, we're like 10 to 12 people. Right now, we tend to play around 8 people for a lot of stuff. And I decided it was like time to like dedicate to having that sound, you know? And it's just been the best choice ever.
That's cool. I know when we seen you at Alex's bar, and the little piece that we seen where people were holding these signs up, and you guys were singing, and they were dancing around in the crowd with them. So I thought that was really cool.
So Oh Yes is our big That's our big chant. Can I get an oh yes? And everybody gives us an oh yes, and it's part of our song. And someone last night told me that that's a big saying in New Orleans.
Really?
That they like to say oh yes. But it's really that song is about consent and about saying yes to what you want in life. It's like a modern love song. It really deals with crowd interaction. We're always trying to like, how do we keep everyone involved? And
Absolutely.
So, oh yes, kind of grew out of that.
Yeah, especially getting the crowd involvement in a bar setting like that. It's important because people are talking. I mean, of course, there's the music playing, but actually getting some attention is always good, right?
Yeah, just making it, making people a part of it.
Hey, we're here. Yeah, part of the show. We're here. We're playing some music for you guys. Look up. Get off your phone.
That's right.
Right? Get the burger out of your mouth. Watch us. We're playing.
I like to take people's phone and film it and toss it around. They put it in your face. You're like, come here.
Did you see that video of who was it, Amber? Somebody threw a phone at some artist on the stage and it hit her in the back of the head.
No,
in the face.
In her face, right?
Yeah, I sent her to the hospital.
She went to the hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy, they arrested the kid and he was like, thought it was funny. It's like,
oh, man.
Must be crazy. I was thinking about that. You think about that as a musician, you're like, okay, I would like to play for these big crowds,
right.
but then like very vulnerable.
Yes.
And it's like weird. I think it's more so in these pop audiences where you get just like a huge cross section of people where you'll get that kind of like people throwing stuff. I've seen a lot of videos of that, like where people throw bottles and all that.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me in the Blues Brothers, right, where there's the chicken wire.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Throwing bottles at them. So I guess that's not new. You just got to put the chicken wire back
But
up.
I've seen the whole cell phone thing where they throw it on stage, not necessarily at the person performing, but they throw it on stage and then the performer grabs it and then kind of records themselves or takes a picture of themselves, and then it's given like to security, and then finally someone gets it. So I thought that's what he was trying to do, was like, hey, let me get my phone on stage.
Right. But this dude catapulted his phone out of her brain.
My God.
Yes.
Yeah. Pobrecita, but she got hit hard.
You really got to risk it to be like, oh, I'm just going to throw my phone up there. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right. Yeah. At least.
But yeah, to throw it at somebody is so crazy.
A nice little toss or something. Right? Just a nice little toss. That's it. That's all you got to do. What's your experience in on Jam in the Van? I seen that. Like, how was that, dude? That must have been awesome.
Jam in the Van was it was last year. We filmed that during that crazy heat wave, and the AC was broken in the van.
Whoa.
So it was probably like 102 degrees in the van. And we perform in suits. So we were sweating. We were sweating. Yeah. This was it was very fun though.
Do you mind if we watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mind, or can we watch it?
Oh, let's go ahead.
It's like, yeah, mine.
Hey, we're Harry Katz and the Pistachios, and we're jamming in the van in Los Angeles. This first song is called Rest of the World.
Look at that, dude. That is awesome.
With me.
That is so awesome, dude.
Thank you. They did a really good job capturing the live sound.
Yeah.
It's so like it's so fun. Like even just the sound that you guys have, I feel like it's so nostalgic, but it's also so new. Like it's like you rose something that was, you know, I don't want to say dead because it's not dead, but but you're like old school meets new school type of, right? Like sound.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I feel like what I try to do is be inspired by the same things that a lot of my favorite songwriters are inspired by, and then do my own writing from that. You know, I think it's very easy to get into where it's just kind of playing the same kind of genres and really bearing down with that. And I try to make it unique. And it becomes a little difficult sometimes to kind of pin it down or like explain it. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't want to do it any simpler. You know.
Well, it sounds amazing, dude.
Thank you so much.
And the aesthetics. Look at that guitar, dude. Can you put that eye back on? Yeah, look at that, dude. So, what's that like? What's the stain on that? Like, what is that? Is it burnt?
Yeah, it's burnt.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Did that happen by accident?
No, the previous owner lit it on fire.
Whoa, that's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. I had before this guitar. The story of this guitar is I had a white Strat that was it was a Wayne's World edition Excalibur, like in the movie in Wayne's World where he's got the white Strat. So on the back plate, it had the Wayne's World logo.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it got stolen at a gig.
Oh, man.
And I was looking for a new guitar, and I saw this guy, and he had this like burnt up white guitar, and it felt to me like this resurrection of this stolen, like perfectly clean white guitar. So it was kind of like bringing, like what you said about the rock and roll, bringing that from the dead. That guitar is kind of bringing that guitar back.
The guitar embodies that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Dude, I didn't even know people even still lit their guitars on fire. They still do that? This guy did, right?
This guy did. Yeah, he did. Now I'm like, should I do that? I should probably do that. I always like to add new things to the show, you know.
Let's light one up right now.
I got one behind you, so.
Perfect. We've done bubbles. But we haven't done fire yet.
You've done bubbles before?
We've done bubbles.
Nice.
But the bubble machine like soaked one of the power strips.
Oh.
So after the show, I'm cleaning up, and I was like, okay, no more bubbles at the next show.
This is really dangerous.
For that song, because it's called Rest of the World, we did beach balls, but they were globes.
Oh,
So it was
that's
like world,
cool.
but beach. But then you just watch people talking about people getting hit in the head because you're watching the audience just like watching. Oh, ow. Everyone's like, oh, ow. And I was like, it feels bad watching that. So we were like, okay, no more beach balls. We'll cut that for a little while.
I like how you go for it. You try it, and if it fails, then you cut it out and you go on to the next.
Yeah, we did balloons, but popping of balloons sounds like gunshots is terrifying.
It is.
It's really, we were like, not doing that ever again.
What other fun things have you tried?
The stuff that sticks is we put out pistachios at every show. So they're out on the bar. So you can always eat pistachios at a pistachio show. The Oh Yes signs, those are classics.
I like that. Yeah.
And holding them up, it's like those were inspired by the Hey Gabba Gabba, the Ramones.
Oh, okay.
Had those big signs.
Right.
And so that's what that's based on. And we kept those. We do a puppet show sometimes at the beginning. So I was a puppeteer for years. I had a puppet show about conspiracy theories before 2017 when everything got too...
Before it was cool.
Yeah. So we do this like pledge affirmation thing at the top of the show sometimes when we're doing like, or when we're like headlining something, we'll have this puppet do this piece, which is really funny.
What was it like being a puppeteer, dude? That's awesome.
So that was how I got into going to the festivals. I was one of those like giant puppeteers, you know, those like big parade, like where it's like the guys with the long arms and they're on poles, like those
Oh,
backpack puppets.
what?
So I got into doing that. So I knew all these like older hippie guys, and they were really into 360-degree projection. So they would get domes and project on these domes, but nobody at the time like kind of understood that or wanted to give them money to do that. So they would get jobs at festivals doing the giant puppets. And then we would go, me and my friend would go in our 20s, and we would go be the puppeteers so that they could like set up these domes. And that, so we would like manage all these weird puppets. And it was like weird.
What kind of puppets were they?
There was like a deer god. There was like this, like, we had this thing called light wire, which is like kind of like glow stick looking material. And it was like a guy made of that light wire. We had these like weird dog dragons, all kinds of weird stuff.
Dang.
And so you'd run around at these festivals around the campfire at night. You'd like scare people, run out of the woods and stuff. Really freak out.
I would not want to be tripping on acid in the woods and seeing a giant fucking puppet come out.
A giant deer god. Really wild stuff. Really wild stuff.
That's cool.
That is wild, dude. Did you travel with like the?
Yeah, we would do not like long tours, but we would do. When I got the job for that, it was kind of like, do you want to go to this random thing? It was like all of a sudden, like we had done like a corporate gig. I had done something for them where I was like a background player of their puppet show for a parade in like Greenwich, Connecticut or something. And then they were like, hey, so we do those corporate gigs, but we also do these pagan festivals, and this one's called Drum and Splash, and everyone plays drums and goes swimming. Do you want to come and be a puppeteer? And I was like, okay, let's go. And we went to this weird thing. I dragged a friend of mine along with me.
Yeah.
We started doing it for he ended up working with them for a few years. I did it for like 2 summers, and then he moved in with them and worked for them for a number of years.
But to have the freedom just to say, okay, I will do it. Like there's no fear in that. You're just like, all right, I'm up for a good time. I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. They brought us to some cool places. We were in Ohio at this place that was like it used to be like a mine, but they had like rehabilitated it. So it was this like interesting land, and they had done built all these cool things on it.
Where did you find all these things? Where am I living under a rock? What's happening here?
I don't know. Maybe it's East Coast stuff. I don't know.
Maybe, right? I feel like here there's like underground raves or something. You know,
what would
warehouse
even be
parties?
Yeah,
I don't know.
What would be the equivalent to that?
I feel like a warehouse party or something under the freeway or something
those
like
under
that.
the freeway things. That's distinctive.
Or
LA stuff.
LA River type of shows, right?
Yeah, those are amazing. Were you guys at that show? You
We're-
don't have to say that.
We're out of the loop
No.
on a lot of things. No, we're out of the loop.
We are.
Harry Katz is bringing us up to speed on a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, I read something about how many of like the recurring events that were going on in LA for years stopped with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like Low End Theory and like a bunch of parties that went on for years and years and years. So I was like, after the pandemic, I was like, oh, I'm out of the loop. And it turns out it's like we are out of the loop because everything stopped. And it's like all these new promoters
That's
and all
true.
this.
It just never came back after that.
But for like for me, it was also like I don't know, like I guess no one around me was going to these things or doing them that I didn't know, I didn't see, and plus I grew up very like I listened to my parents 100%, and it would probably have been one of those things where I was like, maybe it's a little too dangerous. But now, I mean, I regret not taking chances. Your life sounds great. I love that you said yes to things.
Oh,
That's
yes.
awesome. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, now's the time, right? We got to say oh, yes to
Oh, yes.
things.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I'm older now, so I'd say oh, yes to different things now. Like going to bed early. Oh, yes.
You're right. You're right.
But just to get all those experiences, like that's cool. Even did all this happen like when you were in LA or when you were still living in the East Coast?
Mostly the East Coast, and then I would travel more. When I moved to LA, I got into filmmaking, and I was working in filmmaking, and then that kind of transitioned back to the music. But it's been a bit more of a steady, kind of stable. I mean, it's a different kind of adventure, filmmaking. It's kind of like a career version of the circus.
A career version of the circus.
Yeah, it still kind of feels like running away with the circus, but it's like a little bit more organized than the pagan festivals.
I love the analogy. Are you still working in film?
I do, yeah.
Yeah?
I work in stop motion animation now.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is in the logistical side. I'm not an animator, but it's very cool stuff.
When you say logistical side, what does that entail?
Like scheduling,
Okay.
planning, coordinating.
Oh, okay. The fun stuff. I like that stuff. Me personally, I like that stuff.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
That's my superpower. Why I'm able to have a big band is because professionally I coordinate big groups of people. So on my days off, I coordinate only 10.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Or is that a challenge in the music world to have, 8 to 10 band members?
I mean, it's as much of a challenge as it is worth the challenge, because it is, you watch people with backing tracks or even just people with like 3 people bands. And, obviously the communication, it's easier. It's like, everyone's closer. It's like, it's just a smaller group. And when you're dealing, a band, it's like being in a relationship with every single person. And so instead of like having the 3 relationships, it's 8 relationships. So it's a lot to it's a lot of dialogue. But when you're able to get that many people together and create kind of a unified sound, it's wild. It's something that I've tried to do a smaller band and it just doesn't resonate the same. And I think for me, the band and the music becomes so much about that community and about the relationships we have and how we negotiate all these things and how we come together and how we set boundaries and, and all that comes across in the songwriting together and it's wild how, we're now even having the same 8 people all the time. When we're 10 to 12, you have a few people who switch out, but to have like a consistent group of 8 people is pretty amazing. And then there's so many people that have their own friendships and relationships with each other, and watching those connections form and seeing that reflected back on stage is really beautiful.
What's typically the one instrument that is always like on rotation? Like if you don't have like a certain horn player, right? Or is it the drummer always? Like what's the? I don't want to say inconsistent of the your band members, but
at this point, the person that I feel like it's kind of switches is if we have a second guitar player.
Oh, okay.
And so that person that's been the newest addition. So it used to be the piano player would switch a lot, and then that's become very consistent. And then, that's my rhythm section has been very consistent for a few years.
Gotcha.
And then the horn section, it's like in phases. It'll be like for a year or 2, you'll have the same guys, and then it'll kind of switch.
Where is it like being in the community and around musicians all the time that you're able to find like a trumpet player or a trombone player or sax?
They all know each other.
Oh, okay.
So you just got to ask one horn player where the others are.
Gotcha.
So
it's like a tight knit community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then it's always like the person, the horn player who's the most involved. You can kind of be like, let's work out something where they're writing the charts, and then they'll bring on the people and have the horn section. because I'm not writing the charts myself for that. It's like collaborative.
When you're writing, what do you mean writing the charts? What's that?
Like actually writing out the music.
Oh, okay.
So for horn players, they like to have, all the music written out. So they, we work together and we write the stuff, and then he like writes it on paper, and then they have to write the separate charts for the different horns to make the chords. And it's like, we used to do a lot where we had 3 horns, and then we've kind of slimmed it down to 2 for a lot of stuff. So then we had to rewrite everything to work for 2 instead of 3.
Absolutely. Besides the guitar, do you play any other instruments?
I play piano.
Oh, okay,
also.
cool.
We're working that into the show. That's still new. And then I do a lot where I'm just singing.
Oh, okay. Hence, that's why you have the second guitar player coming in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude, you gotta let loose and sing, right?
Yeah, you got to get in there and like be with the people.
Right.
Even like your voice when you sing, it's like so distinct. Like it I'm telling you, your guys' band is just amazing, and it's so different that it's refreshing almost.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if he's gonna come on the podcast and his voice is gonna sound exactly the way that he sings. And it does.
Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, I mean, if I'd have to, it would be pretty loud if I was doing it. That's what it sounds like at that volume. But that story is, when doing the hitchhiking, that's when I started writing my own songs. We would busk, and we would just like play chords over and over. So we have a song on the album called That's Too Darn Bad. And that I wrote because I was like playing and like asking for change. And I said to some guy, hey, you just won the lottery. You get to give me some change. And he went, too bad. And I started singing back to him, well, too bad for you. And we started singing, that's too darn bad. But you'd have to yell because you were out on the street. And so when I started playing in clubs and working with a microphone, like transitioning that yelling voice into something and using a microphone is how I kind of got that really loud kind of howling wolf thing to happen.
So what are some of your inspirations? Like what does Harry Katz listen to?
I listen to a ton of Ray Charles. Howling Wolf is a big one. Who else am I listening to? I'm listening to, there's a guy out named Isaac Opatz, who's great. Tom Waits is a big influence.
So you're heavily influenced in blues, I can see.
Yeah,
R&B.
There's a lot of blues. I listen to a lot of B.B. King.
Yeah.
A lot of old rock and roll. But then I like a lot of punk stuff and ska. I always secretly just want to be a ska band. That's why I have horns. Just waiting for someone to ask.
There you go. See, Gill? We have a great name and concept for a ska band. And he's like, I want to do it. And I'm like, just put it out on Instagram and say, hey, anyone want to?
Yeah, what's the...
So Amber has recently got me into... she's recently got me into Chalino Sanchez, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
he's a Mexican, like corridos type of, but you're talking about 70s, 80s, 90s. He's dead now, but that type of influence.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Talking about like, well, most of his music is about like the Mexican cartels and all that, the old stories in Mexico with the
like folk stories.
Folk stories.
Right on.
And with that, I like ska. I like a lot of like 90s ska, like the second wave of ska. So we were driving on the freeway listening to Chalino Sanchez, and I was like, Amber, what if we get a band together and sing Chalino Sanchez songs, but in ska, and we can call them Scalino Sanchez.
Yeah, I think you have to do that now.
Right?
I'm interviewing Scalino Sanchez here on the Mind Buzz.
Doesn't that sound so amazing? Like I heard the name just came to me. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It's such a good idea that it has to be done already. That's my thought. We haven't Googled it, but
I haven't heard of it.
I think it's a great idea. Ska's back right now. It's big right now.
Mm-hmm.
The only one like the the only band that I've seen do maybe there's multiple out there, but Rundown Creeps does a good version of Los Chismes, which is one of his most popular, right? And I heard like it came on my Spotify playlist, and I was like, oh damn, look at Amber. I told her, I was like, look, somebody's already doing this, but I think the name just fucking boom.
I think you send it to those guys. Be like, you guys are gonna love this. That's super cool.
How I'm like, now we're gonna pick your brain. How does someone just kind of make a band or put a band together? Like, how did your band come together?
You just it's like the Blues Brothers. So you just drive to their work and you make them quit their job and get in the van, and you owe them a bunch of money, and you just, pray that the, rock and roll gets you through.
That sounds too easy.
Trust me, it's not.
We're on a mission from God.
That's right. That's right. I don't know. I mean, you just work with people, and, sometimes it doesn't, especially when you're dedicated, like, some people won't be as available, and I used to do where I would ask people for a specific kind of commitment. So I'd say, okay, I have these 3 shows over the next da-da-da. Can you do all of this? As opposed to being like, can you be in my band forever? Like, hey, we do a lot of residencies where we'll play like once a week at a place. I'll be like, we're doing 5 shows in March. Can you do those 5 shows? And then, people come and they have a good time, and then they don't want to leave, and so that's and that's how I structured it at the beginning, was like really just being like, let's just do something. It's like, hey, I want to start a band. Let's learn a couple songs. Let's cut a record and do 1 show. Go from there, because I feel like it's like to get people to commit long term, then you're dealing with whatever their idea of commitment is.
Right. Why do you think it's hard for a commitment like that? Is it just because, like, what does that look like? Why is it so hard?
My experience in Los Angeles is that so many people are artists of their own. So asking people to be in your project, especially like when you're starting out, you're not paying people, you're just trying to make music with people. To have people like, especially like with singers, like in Los Angeles, like everyone who's a great singer wants to be there, is like doing their thing. So for them to have time, to also do your project, and if your project's going to be good, it's going to be a little demanding, right? It's like, if it's just a hobby thing, they could show up and that's one thing. But if you're really trying to pursue it and it's still in the early phases, so that becomes difficult, I think, dedicating. For me, for example, I'd love to play bass for other people's bands. And every once in a while, I'll start a small band with friends, and it'll be awesome, and I'll love it. We'll have a great name. We'll start the Instagram, and then I just won't be available because it's just not like I'm just so dedicated to the project I'm doing, and that's something I have to reconcile with myself. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is the music project I'm focused on, and it's like, I put everything into that.
Yeah, it's disciplining yourself to, like, of course, creative people they just want to create, but I think that's the hard part, is being disciplined to one project. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the keys to how to start out, is to like hone in on one thing and really making that work. And then once you get recognition for something, then it's easy to branch out and kind of do all the other creative things you want to do. But I think it's really powerful to, like you say, like show that discipline. Because I think that's one of the exciting things we like about artists, especially new artists, is like that dedication, that discipline to something. You're like, oh, they're that thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're that thing, and they're working that thing. Oh, I can do it for you. You got it? Okay.
Thank you.
What a gentleman.
Would you like some?
Sure.
Tell me more about your ska band.
Well, I'm thinking about our outfits, and we're going to have tejanas, but they're going to be checkered.
Tryouts are in Paramount.
Checkered
California.
tejanas. What else? black and white suits, maybe. I don't know.
You gotta wear cowboy boots.
Cowboy boots. Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
I love it.
Yeah, we're gonna do cocaine on the stage. It's gonna be amazing.
Wow.
That's how you interact with your guests.
With the audience. That's audience involvement.
You throw
Who
little
wants a bun?
you throw little bags of coke out in the.
Oh my God. I saw BB King and he had guitar picks and like little small like gold chains, like bracelets. And he had them in his like suit pocket and he would like dump them out to the audience.
What?
That's where I got inspired. I started carrying pistachios in my pockets at shows. I dump them out to the audience.
You literally had pistachios in your pockets?
Yeah, I would have worn my other jacket, but it had too many pistachios.
Oh, we should have
brought
brought pistachios for today.
Oh, yeah, I should have brought some.
We didn't even think about it.
Right?
That's my bad. I'm the guy. I'm the pistachio
You're
guy.
the pistachio guy.
That's my bad.
Yeah. He's nodding his head. No.
Yeah.
You fucked up, dude.
I'll be hearing about this later.
No, but that's good interaction. Have you heard of Jimmy Reed?
The piano player?
No, he's a harmonica player.
Okay.
He's amazing. Maybe we could pull him up. He's like bluesy type of like Chicago blues. Like he's Chicago blues, Jimmy Reed. But he's a harmonica
Of a Pat the Bunny song.
Really?
Of the I'm Not a Good Person. Do you know that
Pat
song?
the Bunny he's a frontman from, remind me again.
From Johnny Hobo and the Freight Trains.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Justin, we were just talking about that group.
Yeah.
And he was explaining to me about that band.
That whole folk punk thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I was like, let's slow it down. Do a weird version of this. But it felt bad singing I'm Not a Good Person over and over. You'd be listening to it, you're like, I don't want to listen to that anymore. I feel like crap today. And you go home after a long day of work, you put it on. It's just like, you're terrible.
Did you grow up with this type of music, or where did your love for it come from?
Yeah, my dad is a big music fan. He used to do compilation tapes that he would have in the car that had like Leonard Cohen on it and Tom Waits and Bob Dylan and all that kind of stuff. So he helped cultivate my love of music.
Your love for music.
Yeah. He would take me to shows.
Oh,
he had
cool.
good friends who made music, so he was always very supportive.
Supportive in your music endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's always good when you have supportive parents or supportive family in, supporting what you love,
Yeah, he thinks it's cool. He thinks music is cool. So he's like, yeah. It's funny. I think, he's always been really supportive, but I think he really likes the music we're doing more now. And there was like a little change of tone where he was like, you guys are good now. Like, all right, way to go. So it's no longer supportive dad, but just like a fan of the music also.
Oh, there we go.
It's like a nice transition.
Has your music evolved, like you as an artist or as a band as well, or both?
Definitely both. I'm always trying to make it new, and this album was really a ton of music that I had that I'd been doing for years that I had never recorded. And because we were always a live band, and then the pandemic happened, so we couldn't perform anymore. So we started cutting demos, and then eventually made it to the studio and recorded all of them.
Do you have it on here?
Yeah, if you click stream,
Yeah.
Spirit of Romance.
Oh, there it is.
I love the artwork.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Shout-
we're going through your page, and I was like, these fucking pistachio things are just the coolest art pieces ever, man.
Yeah, shout out Matt Adams, who designed them. He's in a great group, The Blank Tapes. He's an awesome artist. We worked with on those. They're like my California Raisin inspired.
Yeah, dude.
Pistachios.
That's where it is.
You're right.
That's where it is. We need to have you on a commercial now with animation of animating those
Exactly.
characters.
That's
What's the
exactly.
pistachio brand? The one that's like in the market everywhere. The black one.
Oh, wonderful pistachio.
Wonderful pistachio. Is that the brand?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, they need a sponsor.
I know. We reached out to them and a couple others.
Did you really?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I spend so much money on pistachios. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Just a discount is all I'm asking. I'm like a pistachio influencer.
You're like, I'm not asking for free pistachios.
We were in touch with a smaller one that does markets, like farmers markets, and we were very close to getting some kind of deal, and then they kind of like dropped off. They were like, "Oh, we're very busy with our markets," and I was like, "You don't understand. I actually need these. Like, this is not. This is. I know this sounds like a joke, but we have pistachios like all the time. Like, I will put your name in front of a ton of people, but we'll get the right pistachio.
Okay. I have a contact with the snack business, and their company name is called the House of Pistachio. So I'll give you that.
What?
Are
I'll
they
send you that
really?
contact. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they used to do all our events. Everything's like they have like pistachios, nuts. Like they're like a snack company, but their company is called House of Pistachios.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a match
If he
made.
makes it happen,
Chino.
you gotta make a pistachio that looks like Gill.
Yeah.
A drawing of a
Gill,
Gill.
if you were a flavored pistachio, what flavor pistachio would you be?
Probably a tahine one or something.
Chili pistachio. Hey, chili pistachios are delicious.
Or a flaming hot pistachio, dude.
I could
Awesome.
see that.
I would eat those 100%.
Do you do just the salted pistachios at your show, or
Yeah, just the salted usually,
got it?
but not anymore. Not if you're coming to a show. We get the flaming hot ones. Let me know. We'll get you a special table.
Right there up front with the sign. Amber wants a sign.
Why do you keep speaking for me?
Okay, I want a sign. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have people hold them during the show. So
All right, I'm gonna hold one in your next show. No, they look heavy. Maybe I won't.
I'll tie it to your back. Don't
Got
worry.
it.
Don't worry on that one.
we have a couple different sizes of them.
Oh,
I have
okay.
like
see?
little hand fans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We can
yeah,
handle
okay,
that.
Really nice.
Got
can
it. I
handle that.
handle that.
Yeah, there we go.
We had ones that were just one would say oh and one would say yes, and I had lost a bunch of yeses, so I had a bunch of signs that just said oh. Oh.
So where did your punk influence come from?
Oh, I just loved.
Yeah.
I was just a kid who just was a rebel.
Do you
just loved punk.
Do you remember the first time you heard like a punk song?
I remember. So Napster had come out,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess I got into Nirvana. That
Okay.
was like the first like real heavy
Of course.
stuff that wasn't like new metal, right? It was like getting out of that phase, and then I got into Nirvana. I remember I went on the Napster punk chat room, and I was like, "Can anyone name a good punk band?" And people were just like, "Obviously, yeah." And they just like named a ton of bands, and I took out a notebook and I wrote them all down. I just listened to songs from each one until I
Yeah.
found the ones that I liked. You know?
I got chills listening to "I Want to Be Sedated." Literally, that was one of the first, like, I guess, well, most of us, I guess. I mean, at least speaking for me.
Yeah, that's a classic.
And I got chills. Like, I listened to that. It was on repeat on my MP3 player because we were all on LimeWire,
Mm-hmm.
and I just downloaded a lot of Ramones, and then from there, it was also listened to a lot of Misfits. It was Danzig, like a lot of Danzig Misfits, but then also too, I'm contrary to popular belief, I really like Michael Graves.
Mm-hmm.
So that all those different that debate between
Yeah.
who the best Misfit singer was. So
Where do you land on that? You're a Michael Graves guy.
I think it just depends. I think it just depends on what songs. And then I really like what is it? Famous Monsters? Is that right? Michael Graves. That was one of the first albums with the Misfits. But I'm a big Michael Graves fan. But when I heard Danzig with like his band called Danzig, I really wasn't feeling it, after listening to like We Are 138 and She and like all the classics, right? But
see, I got into being a bass player, and so like I got really into like some of the weirder, some of the 80s new wavy stuff. So like the Violet Femmes, their first album was like, that's why I started a band. Like I thought music was very unattainable, and then I listened to that record, and we had like, a snare drum at the house with a little splash cymbal. I was like, oh, that's all we need. We got it. We're good. We can start a band now. That's the drum kit. Like Violent Femmes did it, and we could do it. And then, the Minutemen, getting into them.
Okay. I don't actually.
Oh, Minutemen are great. Mike Watt and D Boone. They're great. Southern California, like punk funk stuff.
Oh, okay. Really
great stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I think I just stopped at the Ramones and my punk what is it? My punk like listening thing stops there, I want to say. But there are like, I started getting into crust punk. I dated this girl in high school that was like a crust punk rocker, and she introduced me to all these different crust punk, the crust punk scene back in the early 2000s, and that was crazy.
Yeah, that was an interesting scene.
Yeah. She introduced me to veganism and all that wild stuff. So
what's crust punk?
It's punk shower? When you don't shower. Yeah. Yeah, it's very smelly punk. Yeah.
Very smelly punk.
Yeah. You met a lot of those.
Her?
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah, she had like a thick mohawk with like just long dreads. And I was this like clean cut rockabilly kid.
Nice.
It was like the weirdest like combination.
I love that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about that later. Now I'm interested. You said mohawk and long dreads.
Yeah, mohawk, long dreads, vegan.
Smelly?
Really?
That's what Harry said. They were smelly, so I'm piggybacking off of that.
We're just trying to get the facts here. We just want to know.
We just want to know. That's
but the music was good. I liked the music, and then from there, I started getting into like ska, not ska punk, but when those ska bands started doing that like heavy metal riffs
ska-core?
Ska-core. Oh my god! when I started listening to that, I was like, holy fuck, this is awesome. Because I like ska like growing up as a kid, and listening to that like when I got a little bit older, later in my teens, I was like, holy fuck, this is like the best of both worlds right now. Going out to those kind of those gigs back in the day.
Yes, it getting aggressive.
Yeah. Amber, we were having this conversation with one of our friends, and he was just like, dude, when ska started doing that weird ska-core stuff, I stopped listening to it. I'm like, bro, really? Because what shirt did I have on? I had a Voodoo Glow Skulls t-shirt, and he asked me about it, and then we started talking about ska, and that's when he said that about ska-core, and I was like, you're just a pussy.
Have you seen that ska documentary, Pick It Up?
No, there's a documentary?
Yeah, about 90s ska, about all the third wave
stuff.
Oh,
really?
Really enjoyable, but there's a lot of like, that's not ska, this is ska. Well, that's not ska, this is ska. But I think you can find it free online, but really enjoyable watch.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of all that stuff.
I love documentaries like that.
Yeah.
Especially about music.
Was there a ska scene in New York?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Slackers and stuff were playing in New York. Choking Victim.
Oh, okay.
Because we had that like LA ska, like Matamosca, which their ska was like that, like Spanish English mix. Like that's who I grew up with, like ska, like
Ocho Calacas.
yeah, Red Store Bums, Matamosca, like Rascahuele, all those guys. So that's cool.
Yeah, we had a lot of like reggae ska too in New York, Jamaican influence, and then the who do we have? The Scofflaws, a lot of that kind of like suit and tie, like slacker, like ska.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what's in the future for Harry Katz and the Pistachios?
The big thing is we're playing at the Knitting Factory August 26th, opening for Kyle Gass from Tenacious D.
Cool.
So that'll be really cool. And then we're finishing up. We're the house band for an immersive theater show at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown. So we have 4 more shows there. July 1st, 8th, the 14th, and 15th. And that's like a whole play. And there's like all this choreography. And
really?
We play for like 2 hours. And it's at the Biltmore. It's a really cool.
You're going to play for 2 hours?
Yeah.
We
did it last night.
You played for 2 hours last night?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been doing this show like every weekend since April 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And last weekend we had off and we were like, oh, we have the weekend off. We were like, let's learn 10 new songs. And we like slogged through. We only added like 4 or 5 of them to the set, but we tried. And so we did that last night. So it was a lot of work last night doing all the new material, but it was really fun. And they're really fun crowds. Everybody dances, and that's when we do a lot of covers. I had never done a lot of covers. I was always very focused on original music and like picking covers that are like really signal your taste in music, not stuff that like everybody knows. But this was like, we're doing this and we're playing a ton of stuff that people know. And it's actually been a lot of fun. Find ways to make it your own, and then watching people kind of have their own experience to it. It's not so much like performing for, where they're watching you. It's very them having their own kind of experience dancing.
Right. I mean, you guys are doing that, right? When we first walked into Alex's bar and you guys were playing, it just set the mood for the rest of the evening. It did.
Thank you. I love to hear that.
And I know that Amber and we just had to talk to you to get to know you a little bit more, and we appreciate the time that you spent with us. And Harry Katz, thanks for coming out and doing the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. Can you tell us where we can find you and what you got coming up?
Yeah, so you can find us online everywhere. Harry Katz and the Pistachios. Katz with a Katz and the Pistachios. We're every weekend at the Biltmore through July 15th, and then at the Knitting Factory August 26th. And then we're always online through our website, andthepistachios.com. You can join our mailing list, and I send a personal email out every week. And then I send a bunch of demos. It's where I sent the Pat the Bunny demo and all kinds of interesting and weird stuff with that.
Cool.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. That's the Hotel Who, a love story that we're a part of at the Biltmore Hotel.
Cool.
If you join the mailing list, we have a great discount code for that for people, so you can come for an
it's like
affordable price.
a whole experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's dinner, drinks, lunch, and mystery. Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
we gotta go.
Yeah,
We gotta go.
Yeah, July 14th is going to be the Pistachio after party. So if you guys want to come July 14th, we'll give you the code, and then we can make it so if that same code, if you want to share with your audience, you guys can send that out and share with anybody you want in your email blasts or whatever. We're happy to give that to the Mind Buzz audience.
Ooh.
And you guys can come buzz with us.
Sweet, dude.
I saw you had merch. Do you sell merch?
Yeah, we're selling T-shirts, and this were the Sock Hop special socks.
These are really cool.
I like those. Those are really cool.
Yeah, these are cool.
And so we're going to launch, because we all wear suits and ties. We're going to have ties soon with the Pistachios
Oh, that's sweet.
and tank tops, because our drummer wears tank tops. So
Awesome.
something for everybody.
The Mind Buzz.
Peace and love. See you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.